Hi, this is Diane Mourglia-Swerdlow for expansions.com. Welcome to another of my cooking podcasts, which I hope that you are enjoying. You're learning lots of things about yourself, your mind pattern, what goes into you, what goes into your food, and all the wonderful ways that you can be good and wonderful to yourself. And of course, as you know, in my blog this month, we are talking about attitude and aptitude, and I am sharing with you recipes that, in my mind, will help you improve your attitude and aptitude. So with that said, if you remember, last week we reviewed, or actually it was 2 weeks ago, we reviewed the fermentation process as far as how to make your own fermented food so that you can have good bacteria in the gut and hopefully help you with your own digestion and so forth. With that said, I want to show you and remind you about my sauerkraut project here that I started. And so I'm going to unwrap it for you, and this has been 2 weeks that it's been fermenting. So I want to show you what it looks like when we actually unwrap. So here comes the towel that keeps it in the dark. And if you remember, I put a gallon jug of water on and it's sitting on a plate to hold the vegetables down. So you can see the vegetables still sitting there in the bottom of my bowl. Remember, this is a $5 bowl I got from one of my local discount stores. So I'm going to take this off first, and the liquid on top, you can also see the little bubbles around the side. That's actually the good bacteria that's been helping this to ferment. And I'm going to pull my plate off. You hear the little sucking motion there as it came off, and I want you to look at those vegetables underneath. Now this is the juices, and I do use the juices to help pack it in. And if you were here, you could smell it's very pungent. If you want to know what pungent smells like, you are going to, let me move the water off so you can see. You can see how nice that looks underneath. You see, it's beautiful. It has a lovely color to it. And I save this juice because after I pack it down again, in order to help it to stay longer in the refrigerator, I put the juices on top of it. And again, it's filled with the good bacteria. Now, you can leave this as long as you want, depending upon the flavor that you like from it. And if you remember in here, I have a base of cabbage that's been shredded. I have some carrot, I have turnip, I have broccoli, I put asparagus in it, and I also put some whole asparagus in it this time because I wanted to see what would happen to them in the fermentation process. So I'm going to set this here, and I'm actually going to take some of that juice or the liquid off the top and set it aside because I want to carefully unpack it because of the whole asparagus spears that I have underneath there. So this is going to come off for a minute. It has a wonderful, wonderful smell to me. I do like it. Again, you can use it as a condiment. It's good to eat a little bit every day. Stewart likes it on just about everything. And I like to eat it plain on the side, a couple tablespoons. Okay, there you can have a better view of how nice the veggies look. And remember, this is after sitting for 2 weeks, so if you want to know what it looks like. I have a clean jar here. I'm going to pack the top layer in until I get down to my asparagus. Now, if you remember, I just put a row across kind of the middle, and then I pack the shredded around it because I'm curious to know what will happen underneath. Oh, here's a piece of broccoli. I stuck that in there too. There we go. There's a fermented piece of broccoli coming out, so I put that there. And just go ahead and put that in my jar. And it means I'm getting closer. There's a piece of asparagus showing up, so I don't have a clue what it's even going to look like. There we go. There's one that's been fermented for you. Now I have another recipe that I'd like to try, making dilled fermented veggies. But this way I can kind of do two things at the same time. I put in a couple layers so they're all coming up. They're rising to the surface. Okay, they look really, really nice. And these are, again, they're wonderful condiments. And what I would like to do my next time around when I do this is I'm going to put some whole green beans in there. I want to put some, and I remember this also has shredded cauliflower, but I would like to do the whole floret because again, it's just another way of putting things on the table. you want to remember your digestion begins in the mind. So when you see things that are really interesting or beautiful and your mind starts to salivate, or your mouth starts to salivate, that is really preparing your system to digest the food. So it's pretty amazing what happens, and it's interesting. You know, yes, I have some asparagus shredded in here, but now I also have some whole ones on the side, and I just, as I mentioned, I stuck this piece of broccoli in there just for fun to see what would happen. But I believe that this is a successful experiment. And again, you just pack it in, and I put it in really tight. And see how nice those vegetables are. They still have color, even though they've been sitting here for 2 weeks. And they're crunchy when you eat them. And this batch will, and we have a family of 4 and the occasional guest. So this batch will probably last us, it could last anywhere from a month to 2 months even. Approximately the 5 pounds of vegetables. If you missed that particular segment, please go back. This looks like I stuck in another piece of broccoli. Please go back and review that segment, because it is such an easy way to get some really good nutrition. And as I said, if you're one person, it doesn't matter. The other thing is, you know what, these make really nice gifts, especially let's say you're one person or you have a lot of access to a lot of produce. Put it in smaller jars, label it. It will need to be refrigerated at this point to keep it, and give it as gifts to people. And you have to explain to them what it is. You know, as a child, of course, I did not like sauerkraut. This is a lot different. These are fresh fermented vegetables, and it is so good. A little different flavor, but it's delicious as a condiment, or, as I said, I like to eat it plain. So I'll finish later. I'll pack this jar full, and when I'm done, I'll take some of these juices and just put it on top to fill up any holes and stick it in my refrigerator. So it's a wonderful, wonderful treat that I'm going to be excited to try and share with Stewart in just a little bit. So that is our fermented vegetables. Okay, the next treat that I have for you today, because who doesn't love a corn dog? I love corn dogs, but I don't want to eat them every day, and most people usually get them when they go out and they get really crappy kind of stuff. So I have here, and I've told you about Applegate before. You can go to applegate.com. These are organic, uncured beef hot dogs, and you can get other things from there too. You have to be careful because some of them are organic, some are not. Some of them, for instance, I do buy their salami and pepperoni. They're not organic. They say they're all natural. They don't have the preservatives in them or the nitrates. But these, to me, are very good. And it's applegate.com. I believe if it's $75, if you buy $75 or more, there's no shipping and handling. So it's a great product. I buy my hot dogs a case at a time, and that, of course, helps raise it up so I don't have to pay for shipping and handling. I put them in my freezer, and especially with summer coming up, you might want to do cookouts, or you might want them on the grill. It's a good quality of a hot dog, so if you're hungry for a hot dog, here they are. Out of the package, I've taken 2, and I've cut them in half. We're going to make some corn dogs. I have given you this recipe before. I'm going to make a small change, a little bit of an addition to it, and then we're going to show you how to make the corn dog itself, which to me is easy. Now in here I have 2 cups of the corn. I showed you before how to take the organic corn, grind it. This is my spice grinder. 2 cups are in here. Into my 2 cups of the cornmeal, I put just a tiny bit of sea salt, maybe about 1/4 of a teaspoon, a little bit more, even 3/8. The sea salt is very strong, good quality, so you don't want to put too much or it's going to be very salty. I have 4 teaspoons of aluminum-free baking powder that's going to go in. Now the change that I haven't showed you about before, this is a teaspoon of xanthan gum. Now I have had this in my cupboard, but it's one of those things that I researched a long time ago, but never really had a chance to put into practical application. But somebody wrote in on the side, I appreciate that, and they told me if you put in a teaspoon in your these kind of grain mixes, that it will keep it from falling apart. And it's true, mine do have a tendency to fall apart and to crumble. So I thought I would try. She said just a teaspoon. So I put that in, and I want to read to you what this is so I be sure and get it correctly. Xanthan gum is a soluble fiber produced from the pure culture fermentation of the microorganism, and you'll have to look this one up, and I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but it's Xanthomonas campestris. It is used in the food processing industry as a thickener, stabilizer, and emulsifier for a number of different foods. So you can do your own research on it. I don't find any objection to it, let me put it that way. So I did try it. I put a teaspoon in, and I do find that it does help hold the grains together better and smoother, and my family actually like the texture better. I kind of like the fall apart texture because I kind of like that little bit of a graininess, but it does make it much smoother, and it makes it so it doesn't fall apart. It's easier to serve, and my feeling is that most of you will prefer that as well. So to that, I've already put together here for you, I have a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. You can use any kind of sweetener you want, although not the agave. I have 1 cup of my unsweetened coconut milk, which I've shown you before, a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and someone mentioned coconut oil. Yes, I have no issue with coconut oil, but that does have a tendency to flavor your food a little bit, and not everybody likes that flavor. My family's not real fond of it, so I stay mostly with the coconut oil, but I don't have any objection to using that in your cooking as far as my research. So that comes together, and lastly, we have 1 egg that's going to go in there. So that it's a very simple recipe. I'm just going to stir all that together. And this is basically, you can put it in your oven, you can bake it as cornbread. Remember, 425. Depends on the size of your pan. I check it at about somewhere between 15-20 minutes. And then from there, you'll decide how you want that to bake. So that's all you have to do. It's basically your cornbread batter. And you can do anything with it. My family's been asking me for corn dogs. I have not done this for them before, so you are going to be the first to witness it. Now over here I do have some olive oil heating, and again you can use coconut oil if that's what you prefer. You can see the steam coming up. It's on high. That means it's hot. That means we need to go because I don't want to start a fire, which you can do. You can use a fork or anything. I'm going to just use my fingers. It's going to be a little bit messy, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with mess. And this is not probably going to look like a commercial corn dog when you're done, but it will give you a good enough approximation that your family's probably going to like it. You can do a whole hot dog if you want. I find sometimes it doesn't always stick as well. You can also do corn dog bites. I have done that before. We're just going to put that in there and basically let it rise to the top. Now the other thing is, if you have issues with oil, the hotter you can get your oil, the faster it's going to cook, and the less that the oil is actually going to get into the batter itself. Let's see how these are doing. Oh, yeah, fell right off of this one. So it just kind of depends. This one is sticking better. Let's try one more. Let's see what happens. If any of you have hints, I'm always open to them. Like I said, this batter came off of that hot dog pretty fast. Well, the other ones seem to be doing pretty well, all things considered. There's one. And you know that to me there's nothing like fair food. Here we go. This one stayed. You'll find your secrets as you go. What works, what doesn't work, what your family likes, what you like. But it's kind of fun to experiment and try. But here you go. We've got from one that came off, from one that's kind of half there, and one that stayed on pretty well. I think we need to do it just a little thicker. And also sometimes I do like to let my batter sit a little longer, but I wanted you to watch it in its creation. It doesn't take long. You have to remember the hot dog's already cooked. With the hot oil, it cooks pretty fast. That one's coming along pretty nice too. And then when you're done, well, I'll let this one finish cooking. When you're done, I have here, this is what we use. Here's organic, Annie's organic ketchup. You have to be careful with ketchup. A lot of ketchup has corn syrup in it. This only has 5 carbs per 1 tablespoon, and we don't eat a lot, but if you want it, there it is. And of course, here's Annie's mustard, same thing, it's organic. It's about 1 carb for 1 teaspoon. Some people like that. Stewart was telling me he likes chili over his corn dogs, so I'm probably going to add some baked beans and make that tonight to go along with it. But you can see it's done, it's nice, and when you cut it open, let me grab a knife here. Wash my hands. You see? That's basically, I see this maybe needs a couple minutes long, or a couple seconds longer. It's a little bit. Not quite done the way as much as I like. I'll probably pop that in there when we're done and finish that up just a little bit. But again, you'll learn as you go what works for you, how hot is your oil, and so forth. But it's a fun thing to do. And it kind of improves your attitude. You don't have to go to the fair. You don't have to eat crap to get a nice, good corn dog. All right, with that said, I'm going to set this aside. And the next thing I want to show you, as long as I have my oil hot and ready to go, and I have some cornmeal here left, I want to show you these beautiful organic chicken livers that I have. Now, I showed you how to do buffalo liver, and that's a little bit more complicated the way that I fix it, because you do have to have some kind of a food mill in order to grind up the buffalo liver. And I've done it other ways and it works, but it's not as smooth and nice as if you have a food mill. These are chicken livers, they're organic, and this is just my cornmeal. And again, you can dip it in egg if you want something thicker. There's a lot of things that you can do. I like simple, and I don't like a lot of thick crust. So I just roll my chicken liver in my cornmeal, or you can use the gluten-free crumbs, you can use the almond meal like I showed you, and you're just going to plop that in. And again, it's not going to take a long time to cook. But it's very high in iron. It helps to rebuild your blood. It helps to replenish your liver. So it's pretty quick and easy, as you can see. It gives it a little bit of crust on the outside. It's not a lot, and so it depends on what you like. But again, it's nice and tender and juicy. You cut it open, it's beautifully done. Again, you might want to do just a little bit more. It depends on how you like it. But we like it a little on the rare side. You can eat, again, with the mustard, with the ketchup, and some people like it with hot sauce. So these are some quick and easy things that you can do for yourself. They're a little bit fun, they're a little bit different, they're easy. The livers, if you can get organic or even Amish raised, which isn't quite organic, but it's as close as you can, some clean source of liver, because remember, the liver filters. And as you're cleaning out your own liver, you want to be able to replenish that. Again, women, around your menstrual cycle, you need extra iron to rebuild that blood. I see a lot of men who are low on amino acids and very low iron as well. If you're doing any liver cleanses, you want to strengthen the liver. This material will help to build it back again. So there are a lot of good things you can do that will help your attitude, will help increase your ability to bring forth your aptitudes. A lot of interesting things that are going on in your mind, in your body, and we want to make sure that everything is working well together. So with that said, again, we've had a kind of a short little podcast, but hopefully some fun things. I look forward to visiting with you on the member side. We're almost done with April. If there is anything that I haven't addressed in the April blog on attitudes and aptitudes, let me know. It's been like an online class. It's been a lot of fun this month. We have getting more interaction, and I really like hearing what you have to say. That's important to me, and it's important to everybody else. So thank you so much for your posts. In May, we've got a new subject coming up, so please, if you don't have a membership, get that going, because you definitely want to be in on that blog. We have great webinars that are starting Monday, April 30th, on current events, where we're going to tell you what's going on in the world, how that applies to you, how to build a safe mind pattern, how they're trying to program you, trigger your programs, activate you, and what you can do for deprogramming. So this is really a great series that are coming up. And in August, we have another immersion week. And this one is focusing on the 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. It's going to be fantastic. So I look forward to seeing you either via the webinars, on the membership side, or here in St. Joseph in person. So thank you so much for joining me once again. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, a wonderful, wonderful week, a wonderful, wonderful life. Good attitudes, good aptitudes, and hey, we're all sailing. So Thank you. Until next time. Bye-bye.